intended to inform and educate the public.
Welcome back to the Junkyard News. In today's video, we're going to talk about a trial that's currently going on in New Orleans, where two officers who were responding to a noise complaint on a residence.
Noise complaint?
Noise complaint.
Came across a man in his parked car, not suspected of any wrongdoing, escalated the situation, and are now facing some serious charges.
Two former Jefferson Parish deputies are on trial accused of manslaughter in the 2022 shooting death of a Marrero man.
Body camera video played in court shows deputies ordering Daniel Vallee out of his vehicle, him refusing, and then ultimately two deputies firing 26 shots into that vehicle where Vallee was in. Isaac Hughes and Johnaton Louis are accused of using unjustified deadly force in the shooting death of Daniel Vallee following a noise complaint 2 years ago in Marrero.
And what happened to cause all this? Well, these officers were scared. You may be thinking, what would an officer be scared of? Could it have been an acorn fallen from a tree? A dog bark? None of the above. But you're close. Now, these two officers in New Orleans are facing manslaughter charges. That's right. Manslaughter trial begins for ex-Jefferson Parish deputies who fatally shot man in a vehicle that morning. Now, the trial began Tuesday, May 7th, and is currently still ongoing. For former Jefferson Parish deputies Isaac Hughes and Johnaton Louis, they have been charged with manslaughter in the shooting of Daniel Vallee 2 years ago in Marrero. They are accused of unjustified deadly use of force. Hughes and Louis were among 5 deputies who responded to the scene. Now, the sheriff at the time reported that Vallee was in a running car outside of a house known for recreational use of substances and refused to exit his vehicle when ordered to do so. But the underlying question here, which nobody is touching on yet, is why did they insist on someone sitting in a legally parked vehicle to exit his car? And was it lawful and justified for them to be even speaking to this man other than a consensual contact? Hey, we're on this call over here. We see you. We just want to talk to you, make sure you're okay, see what's going on, and let it proceed from there. If the man doesn't want to talk or have anything to do with you, you would assume that the cops would just go on their way. No harm, no foul. There's no violation going on here, and you're on a call regarding a noise complaint on a residence. Now, in opening statements of the case, the state claimed that Hughes and Louis shot and gave a dirt nap to Vallee, arguing that nobody needed to pass away that night. The state opened with reminding jurors that two officers, fired a total of 26 rounds during the incident into a man sitting in his car. By the way, he was unarmed, if you didn't already guess.
The state argues the home Vallee was parked in front of on Wilson Street is a known, quote, crack house. In all, 5 JPSO units responded. Today, 3 of those deputies took the stand. Each were shown body camera video from that night. All 3 shared how tense the night was. Video shows Vallee's SUV initially was off, but despite multiple orders to get out, he did not, and instead, he started the SUV. Vallee feared deputies were going to shoot him and kill him. His last words on camera were, quote, "Please put the guns down."
The state claimed that when Hughes turned on his body camera, his first words were, "I'll effing shoot you, boy. I'll effing shoot you, boy," according to the state. The last words Vallee uttered were, "Please put your guns down." The second officer that fired 9 rounds, the first one emptied his magazine. He emptied it. Mag dump. You guessed it. The second officer that only fired 9 rounds was in response to the initial officer opening fire. And you might ask, well, why did he open fire? What did this guy do? Well, reporting from inside the courtroom that heard and saw a body cam, which has not yet been released to the public, by the way, but was shown in the trial, which is still ongoing, is going to be pretty detailed. So grab some popcorn. Now, the body camera videos that recorded the final chaotic moments of Daniel Vallee's life were at the center of the first day of trial on Tuesday. Jurors watched on video as Vallee, 34, sat behind the wheel of his parked SUV with his hands raised, nervously eyeing the deputies who surrounded his vehicle while they were responding to a noise complaint of a residence. He's in a parked car, legally parked. Okay, go investigate that noise complaint over there. Go knock on a door. Why are you bothering this guy? It's been said in news reports this guy was homeless and living in his car. Now it's reported that in the playing of the body cam video, you can hear Mr. Vallee's frantic cries. You're all trying to shoot me. You're all trying to find a way to shoot me. Now in the 2 body camera videos that were shown to jurors so far from the night of the shooting, including one recorded by Deputy Edward Beck, the initial deputy dispatched to the scene, he is heard ordering Vallee to turn off his engine of the parked SUV while Vallee protests that he hasn't done anything wrong. The cop can be heard on body cam telling him, "You're really testing my patience," who is standing at Vallee's driver's side window. Vallee then says, "You're all trying to shoot me." Vallee responds, the first of many times that he nervously makes an assertion during the 15-minute conversation that they are going to shoot him. Vallee tells deputies that he's there to pick up someone from a residence and said he isn't causing any trouble and he hasn't done anything wrong. And his car, his SUV, was legally parked. And on multiple occasions, the man tells deputies, "I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do nothing wrong," as Beck continues to try to get him to exit his parked vehicle. Remember, this isn't a traffic stop. This is supposed to be a consensual conversation. Now the men continue the exchange, with Deputy Beck becoming increasingly frustrated by Vallee's refusal to come out of his legally parked vehicle. And he tells Vallee that exiting the vehicle is for everyone's safety. Which, of course, Vallee tells the officers, "I feel safer in here." Now, in the video, it's claimed that Vallee's hands are raised. Partially, it seems, to block all the lights, the flashlights that are shining in his face and into his eyes. Now, Deputy Hughes was standing in front of Vallee's SUV while Louis was near the passenger door with another deputy. Beck warns that he's about to break his window and drag him out. And Vallee claims, "That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to hurt me." The cop says, "I don't want to touch you at all. All I want you to do is get out so I can identify you." Why? This guy isn't suspected of any wrongdoing. This isn't a traffic stop. You have no legal justification to be telling this guy to get out of his legally parked vehicle when he hasn't done anything wrong and isn't suspected of doing anything wrong. Now the exchange continues for several minutes until Vallee turns on the SUV's engine for a second time, kind of ratcheting up tensions. Hughes, Louis, and Deputy Thornton, also at the passenger side, have their guns drawn at this point, according to authorities. Although Thornton's is pointed downward, Vallee is heard in the video saying, "If you bust the window, I'm going to leave. I'm going to take off." To which Beck warns that the deputies will shoot if he attempts that. Now, as this interaction's going on between this supposed innocent man parked in a car legally on the side of the road, trying to block the light in his eyes, a couple times he does drop his hands, and the cops keep telling him, of course, "Put your hands up. Let me see your hands." At one time, Vallee's hand drops again. But it appears that as he drops his hand, he may have inadvertently hit the SUV's horn, causing it to honk. And when you're in what cops perceive as a tense situation, with your guns pointed at a person and your fingers on the trigger, what could possibly go wrong? An acorn might fall from a tree and hit the top of a car and make the cop think a gun goes off. Well, what about a horn? That's right. As soon as that horn blares, even just for a moment, shots are fired. And what happens next, as we've heard and seen in videos, once one gunshot goes off and one officer fires, most of the time, other officers join in.
The state says Hughes and Louis were the only ones to shoot. Also, the state says Hughes emptied his whole magazine, which is 18 bullets, and Louis fired 9 times. The state argues that deputies caused chaos that night and did not follow proper protocols. The defense says Vallee is to blame. He dropped his hand multiple times where deputies could not see it, and Hughes and Louis fired in self-defense. Vallee's family wants justice. They believe Hughes and Louis violated their loved one's rights.
Because it's going to all boil down to what was in the mind of the policemen. Were they in fear for their lives when they decided that they had to use lethal force?
Vallee never put the car in drive, and there was no weapon found in his vehicle. Earlier today, the judge did remove a juror from this case, and he did seat an alternate.
One cop fires, a lot of times they all start firing. Vallee was shot 8 times in the head, face, back, abdomen, and a finger got grazed. Now, one of the law enforcement officers that never even pulled out his gun was asked on the stand why. And he claims, "I had the best view inside the car. I didn't feel like I was in any danger, so I didn't even draw my weapon." You have a perceived innocent man sitting in a legally parked vehicle. Officers are on a separate call. A noise complaint for residents. It's got nothing to do with this guy. We're going to go fishing and see what we can figure out. Let's go investigate this guy in a legally parked vehicle. And when he doesn't want to talk to us, he doesn't want to get out of his car, he doesn't want to ID, we're going to threaten to break his window and drag him out. And then when that doesn't work, we're all going to point our guns at him. And then, at the slightest noise, this being a horn this time, not an acorn, we're going to open fire. Thank you for tuning in and watching this episode of the Junkyard News. Be careful, everybody. I am so serious. I am super, super serial. Be careful out there, or we may be talking and covering a story about you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Videos uploaded by the Junkyard News are helped in part by viewers just like you. You can show your support for this channel by clicking the thumbs up, sharing our videos. Don't want to miss a video or a story? Make sure to check us out and like us on Facebook at The Junkyard News.